Ibrahim, I suppose.
Ibrahim's the only
Since
one.
he's gonna be high on the agenda.
Is early on the agenda, but we shall see.
Good to go then.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna call it to order. 6 o'clock. Do a roll call. Rodenrath,
Here.
Van Dyke,
Absent.
Hodgkinson, and Hale. Thank you. All right. Minutes were included in your packet, so I'll entertain a motion for approval.
I'll make a motion to approve minutes as written. I'll support that.
Thank you.
It's gonna be a lot of that today, I think.
Any discussion, edits, additions? All that good, everybody? All right. Approve the amendments by, as presented, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, public comment.
None that I'm aware of.
All right. So staff 2-minute highlights.
Did we do a approval of the agenda?
Oh, I'm sorry, skip the agenda. Yes, I'm sorry. Thank you. I would now entertain a motion for approval of the agenda.
I'll support.
All right.
Knew what I meant.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now back to doing things in order. 2-minute highlights. Hopefully we can
We'll start back there.
kill enough time that we can. Get Ibrahim here.
Oh, here he is. Perfect.
Okay. good
Tracy,
deal.
you wanna go ahead?
All right.
Yes, I highlight for them, it's contract season in NRCS, so it's paperwork time and getting signatures and checking in with customers. It's a pretty busy time with different varying deadlines, so did it today, which is pretty exciting. So, because they have a rolling deadline that they're working through this year still.
Very good. Thank you.
I'm Muriel, the invasive species coordinator, just so you know. Today I submitted a pre-proposal for the Sustain Our Great Lakes grant. Which is a federal funding source, to continue we have an existing Saga grant, so this project would be a continuation of that. And the full proposal is due April 11th, so in the meantime, they'll tell me whether or not they accept the pre-proposal.
I'm Megan, I'm the RCPP project manager. I've been working on annual reporting and match tracking for the RCPP because that's due in March. We're doing that. And some changing guidelines. for different practices, so figuring that out.
They like to do that.
Learning curve.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Ben, you wanna go?
Sure. January was a lot of reporting for 3 separate 319 grants. We did have our biggest year yet as far as cover crops and other BMPs, had a couple of septics too. We ended up giving out about $194,000 in cost share, which is pretty awesome. And Doug just signed all those checks, so thank you for that. A lot of checks.
And we gotta talk later.
Yeah, other than that, just a lot of planning, finished up the engineering on the 2-stage ditch potential project in Pigeon. So we're kind of in talks with the road commission, the drain commission on who's gonna write that grant, what funding pools we might go for that. But preliminary engineering is done. We'll have to go through Eagle permitting now, and if we are gonna go for 319 funding, we'll have to go through the whole Eagle engineering approval process too, which is pretty lengthy. So we're kind of getting it all started now so we can possibly apply for a grant later this fall.
Who owns it? Is it a drain or is it road commission?
So it is a county drain. And it's right up alongside of 88th Street.
Okay.
And there's erosion into the road too, so there's kind of multiple stakeholders. it's also eroding into a farmer's field too, so he's kind of agreed to help us out there with permissions and everything.
88th.
Yeah.
It's,
Like, what's
Is it
the
88th?
east west?
88th Tyler.
Tyler
Tyler,
and Baldwin. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's actually, so we were excited about that project because it was one that we specifically identified in the Pigeon River Watershed Management Plan.
Well, that works out sometimes.
Yeah.
You throw that dart and go, oh.
Hey,
I got
it worked out. And then, so when we applied for the 319 grant for Pigeon, we put in engineering funding for it. With the intention if we do like a phase 2 or some other grant. So it's kind of like start to finish. It's been cool to see, we identified it in the plan. Now we're actually working on getting it fixed. So.
It's just supposed to go.
Figured this might be a good time for Andrew to also introduce himself I know you kind of already
Wanna
partially
do that
did.
Also, but yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Andrew Boer. I am the new meat tech or CTAP tech here at the Ottawa Conservation District. I'll start on Monday, February 24th. Currently, I am the same position in Scottville for the Mason Lake Conservation District, and I'm looking forward to working with you all and being a part of your team. So thank you for having me tonight.
Awesome, welcome.
Wonderful.
Glad you come down and meet us. We could meet you.
Yes.
Very good.
I was gonna get mine.
Okay, you're gonna do the intern. Okay, so now does Jack have anything to share then?
Well, I've got the report I submitted, nothing in addition to that,
Okay.
it's 3 pages of. Actually pretty boring stuff this time,
It's got some good stuff in
yeah.
there.
One thing to know, we're not on letterhead anymore.
I saw that.
Yeah,
It's not very official looking.
well. We've been flying under the radar for a couple years now, and we got busted. Technical, well, not technically, absolutely, if anything goes out on departmental letterhead. The executive office has to review it, edit it, and approve it, and that's a 2 to 4 week process. So this would be dated by the time it was in your hands, so,
All the trainings that are on it would be over and,
right.
yeah, okay.
Grant,
That makes it not very fast.
grant proposal deadlines would have come and gone,
Mhm. Super fun.
but that's the reason it's not a letterhead.
Tim, there's a copy in your folder if you want to look. It did not get sent ahead of time.
where would I look?
After the beginning. Next one.
Very good. Thanks, Jack.
Welcome.
We would ordinarily do NRCS, but we'll just wait, right?
Mhm.
So he's gonna give our
Yeah.
highlight.
Mhm.
Okay.
My turn.
Now over to you.
Okay. All right. I'm kind of doing a mixture of interim stuff and my own updates here. Obviously, big one, Andrew got hired, so that's exciting. Plant and tree sale is live. I did print out some extra flyers that are over here as well as our annual meeting. I did put one in front of all of you. And you also have a copy of the tree sale catalog. But if you want to take some extra flyers, share them around places.
You all look very nice. Thank
Yeah.
you.
So tree and plant sale are open for pre-orders until March 28th. And then we do also are selling some t-shirts this time, which I think is apparently is a collaboration of like 5 conservation districts who are all gonna order them all in bulk. So it's cheaper for everyone. And then there's kind of some nice plant sale or native plant and native tree shirts. So, but those pre-orders end a little earlier on the 12th. So we've had a number of people order them already.
We
Um,
have our own nursery. You see that email from Newego? They're
I
getting out of the
did.
biz.
oh, yeah.
That sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah. No. Let's see, as far as, I had Cultivating Resilience this last week, you guys were all there, obviously. I don't have the final numbers of how many people officially attended, but as far as I'm aware, I'm just waiting on that stuff from ODC Network, they just need to share it with me. It was roughly around 160 people in attendance. So that's the biggest one we've had so far, which is exciting.
We came late and there wasn't very many name tags.
I know, it was like only maybe about 20-ish name tags that didn't get picked up, and I think I had a few people reach out to me that day saying they weren't gonna be able to come because of the weather was a bit more icy down south of us, so probably would have had pretty much a full house if it wasn't for weather.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of vendors and sponsors who said that they would like to come back, and really excited about it, so I think we're going to keep it at the Pinnacle Center again next year. It went really well.
Yeah, it went very well. And you didn't even do any setup the day before, right?
No, it was
We all just, like,
fantastic.
walked in that morning.
I know, because we didn't have to do any setup, we didn't have to do any tear down,
Yeah.
easiest physical
Mhm.
setup and everything,
Yeah.
because we didn't have to do it all. So that was great.
Yeah, really, really good.
all quarterly reporting has been submitted from the last quarter, so I think we've received many of the reimbursements back. I think we're waiting on just maybe one or two. I think NECD is the only one we're waiting on so far. And then we're working on our transition plan, which there's information in our packets that we'll talk about later, but we have been doing the thing. So we're moving forward.
Thing, yeah. The thing that you're all trained up on.
Yeah.
unfortunately. So, yep, okay, very good.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're on to Ibrahim. We're gonna kick it to you. I don't know if you can hear me, if I'm speaking loud enough.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Ibrahim Kane, I'm the new DC in Ottawa County. I just want to say thank y'all for inviting me on today. It's been great. I've been here for about 2 months now, so it's been great here. Great. Grand Haven is a nice place, great place to work. I guess I could give an update about, I guess, a little bit of equip we're doing, or I guess programs. I don't have that much today to give out as far as information, but I could give an update on a few programs. Right now, we have a few equip applications that are eligible, at least 7 for right now for this fiscal year. We also have a deadline we're working towards, CSP. That deadline is coming up this Friday, so it's kind of almost here. And we're also working on Act Now, which is a kind of a newer type thing as far as equip, and that deadline is coming up pretty soon. They're also making selections weekly, so we will have guys notified pretty much every week as far as their status for funding. I didn't really have that many updates. That was all I have for right now, but I am pretty new. I did want to introduce myself today. It's been great so far here working with the staff here in Ottawa County, and thank you for inviting me.
Well, welcome, and thanks for being here. Remind me where you came from?
So I'm originally from Alabama, but I've been working in North Carolina for the past few years with NRCS.
Okay, so you came from North Carolina here to the Grand Haven office. You weren't elsewhere in Michigan or anything? Okay,
Not at all.
all right, cool. Well, welcome. Thank you.
All right.
He's
Thank you.
he's been braving the snow.
Picked a good spot.
Yeah. It's a lot better in the summer.
I've heard.
It's bad winter here.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, onward. Human Resources Committee, HR Committee report. I suppose that would be me / Sarah. I think we don't have any policy we're dealing with right now, so all that we're dealing with at the moment is the executive director search, onboarding, and
MERS later, but
what's that?
besides just discussing the MERS one with Tara in a little bit.
Yep, yeah, but nothing aside from those
Right.
two items, right? I mean,
Not right now.
I'm not aware of anything else. We haven't met.
I think you guys looked at the procurement one a little while ago. Remember that?
We have not gone back and reviewed that. That's
Okay, we'll make
Yeah.
sure you guys do before the next one.
before the next board meeting.
Mm-hmm.
We have another date on the calendar, I think.
In the
I'll have to
meeting.
look.
Yeah, we'll figure that out.
Okay,
Mm-hmm. But right now, no,
all right. Can you remind me of that?
I shall.
Okay. Very good. All right, so that is all for the actual report. Now a discussion item that's near and dear to all of our hearts is the federal funding freeze. We added that as a discussion item because it's something we need to touch on, but none of us really have enough information to really
Nobody knows what's going on.
anything about it. I'd be curious to see if Jack or Ibrahim or anybody close to the situation or even staff, what we've gotten back from any sort of insight, any sort of direction.
Well, I haven't really received anything directly in the past few weeks. We have received talking points, but it hasn't been really any helpful information from headquarters. So I guess we're still kind of in the same boat as far as like looking for information or looking for guidance on that. And I do apologize, but we haven't had anything recently at all.
Thank you.
And we sent out emails and contacted all of our grantors for federal grants, and they've all told us that, well, initially we had one, Soggle said they weren't gonna be able to do reimbursements, but then they kind of backed off on that and they sent another one saying, just kidding, you
Correct.
can. So that was the only one where we potentially heard something, but then all the other ones have said that they're basically moving forward as normal, because no one's received any official guidance on stopping anything. So as of right now, all of our federal grants are currently still moving forward as normal until potentially told otherwise.
So
So,
all of our federal grants are reimbursement, right?
yes,
So they can all move forward as usual, but if we move forward as usual and something goes sideways,
We
We're on
eat
the
it,
track.
we eat it.
then we don't have anything to eat it with.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess my brain, and I have no answers, I have no information, but my brain's going to, there's gotta, you know. We'd be stuck for a while, but there would have to be some sort of recourse of some sort. I don't know how long recourse might take. I was trying to think, are there partners that would be willing to help, AKA the county, or,
Yeah.
when do we decide if or whether we're gonna take any sort of drastic measure? I don't know what you're hearing from other districts. I'd be curious. I haven't talked to Jerry yet. I was gonna talk to Jerry Miller and see what he's hearing.
Everybody's pretty much in the same boat. Nobody's just discussed recourse yet. But everybody's on pins and needles.
Is anybody, like, I heard there's a special board meeting tonight in Washtenaw with partners. Partners are backing out. I don't know which partners. It was vague. It was in an email from one of their, I don't know if you know more from Washtenaw. They're holding a special board meeting tonight. It didn't sound like layoffs, but it sounds like partners were backing away from federal projects.
Huh.
Are you hearing anybody
No,
changing anything from a staff standpoint? Or are we just like, hoping for the best and not planning for the worst?
pretty much, yeah.
Well, is everybody gonna get knocked out at one time, or is it?
you
like
know, it's
a
all different funding
certain
sources.
Person,
We've got 5 staff that are funded by federal grants. It would be potentially would be Megan, could be Will Latham and yeah, Tracy. I was like, you're right behind, and then it could be Ben and I.
So what are
So
we
that's pretty
doing
much
right
shut
now
down the
that's
budget.
not covered or it's still flowing, right?
Everything's still flowing currently
As of now.
as of right now.
So the problem though is these are all reimbursement based and so
So
our
we
next
do,
quarter.
we do our thing and then we get, hopefully the money comes.
Right,
So
yeah.
our next quarterly reporting period is a month and a half away.
Okay.
So a lot could happen between now and then, and worst case scenario, let's say we get to. April 1st, when I'm about to submit a whole bunch of big quarterly reports and
Mhm.
everybody else is, all of a sudden, we're told that our funding is frozen. And we have several months of wages and other things
Mhm.
expensed.
so we're doing that right now.
Yeah.
We're spending all that money right now,
Mhm.
and we might not get it back.
For Will, is that one quarterly or monthly?
I recently submitted a Soggle reimbursement and we got paid.
Okay.
So I do Soggle and then Good Neighbor Authority is our other
Mhm.
federal one. That one can also reimburse. me.
Okay, so the NACD and the 319 grants are both are all reimbursed quarterly, and then the other ones, the RCPD is monthly. So,
I am gonna shoot off an email to our grantors though and see if, monthly or early reporting would be possible. To
So
try to
have to
sneak
wait.
in, some reimbursements for,
That would be
know,
amazing to
January,
tighten that
February.
up if they would allow us, in these weird circumstances to tighten that up. That would be really good.
mhm.
So are you 3 months out then? On all the,
I mean,
Stuff
we're a
we're doing
month
right now.
and, our quarterly started January 1st, so we're a
Okay.
month and 11 days into this quarter now.
but you need to keep doing what you're doing. You
Yeah.
could switch to
We could
County one,
load
but you
more
could
hours
switch into
onto the monitoring and some other things for sure.
I will say, I think that funding is a little less flexible than what we've kind of, our 319 is a little bit more flexible with what we can kind of cover underneath it. Tracy,
but
is
if
everything,
you got chopped, say from the federal side, you could do that side.
there is some funding, yeah, we actually have enough work to do in this time of year to maybe, but yeah. We do have some excess funding.
So we're pretty much all in right now, or
Yeah, similar with like, Tracy, she's also getting part of her funding with our new work agreement is through the groundwater, which we already have. So,
yeah, but that's $18,000
right,
with
I mean, yeah, it's
materials
shorter
and
term.
whatever she spent.
Mhm.
Did we have an RCPP payment that was not coming through that?
We just got.
You
the
did
decision.
see it come
Okay.
through this
Mhm.
And
week.
so now you're
We
gonna
just
submit your
did.
next one,
Yeah.
because that came through.
Oh. Submit. It's finished for submitting this today, so.
Okay.
We'll see. Tim did say there's a backlog of like 10 or 12 days of payments. for the National. And I'm expecting that to be delayed more because they're updating that whole system starting Friday.
You're just going to say the system.
For a week. For a week. But, so, no. I'm expecting it to just be delayed.
Then you're planning for that delay, or Annalise is planning for the delay, however.
I think
your
it's-
magical
There's
spreadsheet there
been,
understands.
yeah, I can't remember in the past, but there's been some circumstances in the past when we've had a couple of months delayed in the RCPP, because the RCPP is monthly and it's not as much as some of our other ones. It's like a relatively smaller reimbursement, usually monthly.
Okay,
Like in the past, it's been maybe like, I don't know, 5,000-ish roughly, I remember Alex saying.
okay. Mhm.
So you guys are the intern team. You're gonna make sure that all the reporting is done on time
Oh, yeah.
and we
Oh,
will
yeah.
follow that one.
For sure.
Yeah, we've been pretty good about getting all the reporting out within the first couple of days of a quarter.
I'm sure it does because we had the issue a year ago and now it's all fixed, I think.
Mhm. Yeah, I think we've got, the. Everything should be, it's much more nicely organized in the accounts and everything, but I think we have a better idea of what we're working with,
Mhm.
so.
So we're all working on what ifs. I guess my question tonight is, what is our plan if the funding is low? I think we should have an interim plan or about.
The immediate, the plan would have to be immediate layoffs,
And that is,
depending on what the parameters are around the funding. If they give us a window, if they allow us to recoup the reimbursements, but it would have to be
Who's left?
layoffs, pretty much.
few people.
Yeah.
Few people.
It is.
What was discussed, what Natalie and Matt had discussed prior as far as like layoff would be that all the district grants, so basically say myself and Ben ended up having, like say our 319s got put away. I do have other funding, or like say, or if Megan, myself or Ben. Was the other one? And or Nat or Tracy, I keep even calling you Natalie. If one of us were to get told that our funding was being frozen and we ended up deciding we had to lay off, I think what was decided that Matt said we would pay them for, the district pay them for one more day after that, what we found out, to like kind of get things buttoned up or whatever. Get them a letter on letterhead that has saying, you know, we're being laid off or whichever, and then that person could go on unemployment. And then the SISMA they would be able to get paid out for an extra week, because we do have additional funding. That's specifically for like SISMA staff for like extra emergency, whatever, so.
So essentially it'd be immediate layoffs and
Yeah.
reconfiguration of staff to whatever degree we could.
As far as reimbursing what was owed already, I don't know what would happen with that.
Right, so if we did not, for some reason, we did not get reimbursed for what was owed. I mean, I don't know how much of county money we're sitting on, but we would, you know, maybe be.
Float that
covered,
as
but-
long as we can.
Yeah.
I would say we do,
Coming into a screeching halt and would
Mm.
things bounce maybe, possibly, I mean, it's gonna be bumpy.
Mhm.
Jack, when do
Yeah.
you think this whole situation might mellow out? Either it's gonna do it or not do it.
I have a hunch, and this is just a hunch, that it's not gonna happen.
Yeah,
Um,
I do too. It's just
yeah, I
part
think
of throwing something out there and see
Yeah.
what grabs.
flooding the zone.
Mhm.
I think once the impacts become, realized, nobody has any problems with the programs that are being funded right now on the either side of the political spectrum. So I would imagine they would be held harmless over time,
Mhm.
but I don't have any idea what that timeline would look like.
But I kind of think in a couple months, things ought to be straightened out, don't you think?
I would imagine. I mean, there's a whole lot of programs in that bucket, like Equip technically got froze.
Mhm.
And I can't believe that would stay that way for long because the constituencies would howl.
I
Yeah, I
can
think
see
these
maybe
are-
losing one or two programs, but totally eliminate everything, you just eliminate every conservation district.
Right.
Yeah, I think the programs we have in this office are very popular and like Jack said, across the spectrum. I mean, 319 programs are in every state across the whole country. They're very, very popular programs.
I think they'd probably go title by title or agency by agency more than.
Yeah.
Parse out titles or agencies. NRCS at the federal level, some staffers there felt strongly that this was not going to harm us. She's like, we've never, ever had funding cut off.
Yeah.
You know, conservation programs and the conservation title is unifying. It's one of the things that unifies across the aisle. Is voluntary, you know, so she's like, there's not a lot of bones to pick with this. It's part of the federal program, so it's gonna be, you know, looked at because they were instructed to, but she felt very strongly that we were not gonna be touched. But again,
You
just
gotta
have
have
to-
that contingency.
I mean, we think a lot of things, and there's a lot of crazy stuff happening, you know, so you just have to be ready for that. But yeah, I think we'll be fine. But like Tim said, you have to just, you know, think a little bit about what if we're not fine,
Think
just be a little
outside the
bit
box,
ready
yeah, and
Well,
to not be fine if that's how it goes, yeah.
Annalise would be the one, you know. Running the show.
Annalise,
Yes.
Mary would still be here.
There is a potential. The budget, the federal government does expire on October 15th. For the end of the first. So, and I don't really know with the political climate, if that will be allowed to.
I know on the, both the House and the Senate, they're both in a yank, excuse me, they're both want to get something hammered out before then. Because they don't want to have a budget shutdown.
Mhm. Yeah, whoever would be left would be, Morgan, Mariel, Andrew. Wanna run the ship?
You're safe.
Okay, safe,
You're
sorry. Yeah.
Maybe not Morgan.
Maybe not Morgan.
Yeah,
Oh.
those are FDA funds.
Oh, they're FD, okay, I didn't know that. Okay,
I think we're, you know, the staff are, cautiously optimistic. I mean, at least I am. I think the same thing. I think, yeah, it's scary to think about, but we've been here before. I mean, I remember a few years ago,
Yep.
GLRI, you know, was cut from the budget for 4 years straight, and then it wasn't, you know, and everybody was freaking out, oh my God, GLRI is gonna be gone, and then it got put back in, you know, these are very popular programs, and I don't anticipate any of them getting frozen.
And honestly, I expected a lot more chatter in the conservation district, probably on the Slack channel and on my AMCB email and stuff. I thought people would be going, oh, you know, but like crickets, like nobody's saying anything. What's happening?
It's like us right now,
So-
nobody knows,
What's that?
nobody knows.
Right, yes, it's hard to know what to say, but anyway, I just felt it was valuable to at least touch on it.
Yeah.
Even though we don't know anything, we all talked about it, we're all aware of
Mhm.
whatever we can be aware of, so. I guess we're ready to move on unless anybody else has anything.
Do
to
we
add.
put the brakes on hiring administrator to save some other jobs?
I don't think that that's probably a very good idea,
no.
and we don't have a ton of applications at this point that I'm aware of.
I did kind of want to throw out something. I did receive an email on Monday that Brooke Rollins, the secretary, is going to be confirmed sometime this week. So I guess sometime this week we'll have, I guess, a little bit more information about these programs being cut or funded or not. The email came out on Monday at the end of the day, so I guess then sometime by Friday we should have, I guess at least an update for this. She has to review a few documents and a few orders, so it may take a while, but I'm thinking that the determination will be made probably at the end of this week or next week. But we did receive an email this Monday about this topic of IRA contracts and just funding in general.
I'm assuming that's more for like, so IRA and stuff like that.
Yeah, all right, thank you. Okay, anything else on that? Are we all just comfortably uncomfortable with that whole topic?
Right.
Yeah,
Very good, super fun. Okay. On to leadership, and I'm just gonna let Sarah and Ben or whoever wants to speak to that because.
the hiring executive director update.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have received 5, 6, 7 applications.
Oh, holy.
Some of them received, I just added it to Indeed yesterday because we hadn't received as many, but some of them are just like, yeah, and it always frustrates me when they don't actually read the instructions. We had one person who I think saw it on Indeed, actually send it the way that we requested. So we've got like 3, maybe like legitimate, there's some from Indeed that are maybe okay to look at. There's one for sure that we received like the Monday after we announced it, that is actually a really solid one. And I know we had talked about previously, like if there's one that's like a really good one, maybe we should interview them sooner than later, but this, this
I was
person.
just gonna say, I was thinking that in my head, I'm like, maybe I should look at our own policy first before I say anything.
I don't know.
about that.
So, but there is one that is a really solid, at least we haven't ranked it anything, or ranked her.
No,
but
and
she's
and right
local.
now, our plan is to get those ranked by the end of this week, and then. You know, let whoever wants to see them, and then start talking interviews.
Cause I think if we wanna do it sooner rather than later versus waiting until the end of the hiring period, cause there was one that's really good.
If a policy supports that, which I apologize for not reading it before that, but yeah, if our policy supports the ability to interview on the fly and not wait till the cutoff and rank, I think that would be.
I think so. I could
We
double check.
talked about that in the finance meeting, that it would be wise not to wait. But we also asked to see the applications, which I ain't seen nothing yet.
Well, we've only just written receiving them.
Yeah.
Only week and a half in yet.
But I would, if you guys feel you got somebody,
I can make sure to send them to you, share with you guys tomorrow.
Whenever you guys are ready.
I would,
I haven't seen them either, if that's what
I
you're
would-
implying.
I would,
It's HR.
yeah,
Mhm.
I would like to see.
Yeah, I can send them
Yeah.
to you guys tomorrow. So you can see which ones, the ones we have so far. It is specifically the one that.
Do we
like
have
so
a
far.
Google Drive where they're all going into?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So to share the drive with you, well. Or do you want me to share it? You can get to your other email, or do you want me to send them to you? The Google Drive,
Yeah, my personal.
do you want me to send it to that one, or do you want me
Yeah.
to share it? Okay.
Jack,
Well,
did
I
you
think what
have-
you're saying, you should, I can get into Google Drive.
Yes.
You share a link.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
But to your personal email,
Yes.
okay,
Yeah.
just wanted to check.
See, I don't have a personal Google. When I go into it, there's all through my work.
I can't hear my works. Did you happen to get a hold of, Delta? I don't think those will work out, but did you happen to talk to them? Delta County, for their 2 candidates that did not hire.
No, I did not yet. I will make sure Delta.
Where's that at?
in
That's
UP.
gonna,
They had,
I
2
will.
candidates they had 3 candidates they really liked, and hired one from Michigan, but they're like, I would have hired the other 2 in a hot second, but they're both from out of state, so
Yeah.
maybe not ideal, but.
I'll say one of the other ones we received was from Florida. But she wants to move into this area. But-
So the one that you got that you really like, is it they from around here?
Yep, they're local. I think they currently live in Caledonia.
Let me ask this question, in regards to the funding, how much of the executive director comes out of these grants? All of it, part of it, none of it?
Part of
Just a
it,
little
they
part,
indirect,
a little part.
yeah, indirect helps pay for
Yeah.
part of it.
Well, I
So-
think Natalie had what, about 10 hours per week, went to various grants,
I think so,
Yeah.
roughly.
something like that.
Most of it's paid by district.
Okay, so what would be wrong with just pausing this 30 days until we know some more?
Could lose potentially a good candidate.
So that's possible, I get that,
Mhm.
there would more. And if she's really looking, 30 days goes by in a hurry.
Mhm.
But I would. Interview them, talk to them, just
First.
let it go by.
Yeah.
And if they're really good, and I mean, you guys would like, them, I mean, you're gonna see what they're doing, if they're working somewhere right now.
Mhm.
You need to pause, but if you do decide to pause, then. They would wait 30 days,
well, ideally, they would put in.
Necessarily.
in
they're gonna
2
put 2 weeks in anyways.
If they don't, then they're not worth hiring. Right?
Mhm.
I don't know, we'll need to pause, but yeah, I think just organically. There'll be enough time built in by the time we get all of our stuff done. Hopefully we'll know some things by the time we're ready to.
We got the
Make an offer.
interim thing kind of figured out too on the pay, cause it was gonna go longer, and we shortened it.
Then that's coming up next, if you guys want to talk about that, but we're
Yeah.
good.
Can I jump in real fast?
Sure. can.
It's been a couple of years since I read your policy, but I think it's silent on the matter of interviewing, whether you can do it before the date is officially closed or any of that. I think it's silent.
Silence is golden.
Mhm.
And if there's anything I can do to help, let me know. I've got interview questions and I can
Yeah,
help with the
we'll
interview
definitely-
process and.
Oh, we don't want to stay in Michigan around, we're over here interviewing.
I want to stay in Michigan.
Very good, thank you.
We were wondering, do we want to move the MERS policy up really quick so that Tara's
Oh,
not on
that's
for?
a good idea. Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
Yep.
She's smiling.
Tara, are you good with that, or would you rather wait a little longer and listen to more of our discussion?
Hey, I don't mind. I'm here to help you guys.
I think that's a good idea. We should have had you at the top anyway, so we apologize for that. It's
Oh, this is
never
fine.
good,
No
good
problem.
to make your guests wait, so. So I am very unprepared with any sort of questions. Did you have some things that you wanted to share, or did you just want us to fire questions at you?
Completely up to you guys. I'm happy to talk. So I can give like kind of maybe a recap. I know I have met with your board, I believe one Zoom meeting, one in person over the last couple years. I've worked with
Yeah.
Megan, Natalie, now Sarah. So the discussions really just kind of at a high level were about some plans that I thought might be a good fit for you guys based on other conservation districts I've worked with. So the defined contribution is a qualified retirement plan. Typically that's the one that the employer contribution goes into because it's FICA free, creditor protected. You can put a vesting cycle on it. And the employees use that post-employment at age 59 and a half. The 457 is a voluntary plan, typically where the employee contributes tax-free money. There is a Roth option. That does have a component to allow the employer to make a contribution as well. And then those funds are post-employment for the employee to use at any age. And then I believe we talked about kind of if you guys had in mind of doing any type of matching contribution, the employer could make a match. The money would go into the defined contribution from the employer based on the employee's contribution in the 457 if you wanted to do a contribution based on the employees. I did read the policy and I had some different notes. It looks like you guys were thinking about making an employer contribution of anywhere from 5 to 7%. I believe based on data hire. I wasn't sure if you wanted a vesting cycle. So I guess I would maybe leave it to you guys to kind of maybe tell me like what your goals are, if you are kind of set in doing a specific employer contribution, or maybe where you guys are at this point.
My understanding is that we were pretty close to having a policy that we could live with and a plan in place that we were ready to impart, but then we had some discussions, decided to table to have an opportunity for board members to speak with you. We are missing 2 board members tonight. I have
Okay.
never had the opportunity to converse with you, and again, I'll completely own that I'm entirely unprepared. I understand retirement plans. I haven't given this a good review.
That's okay.
But yeah, we had basically a plan in place currently that we were ready to move forward on. The one thing that I don't know that we touched on, vesting. Do we have a vesting component? Does anybody know if we had a vesting component in this? I'm the HR committee too, so I apologize again profusely for not knowing that, but I don't know if we have an election to have vesting.
Vesting is when you need to be there for a certain amount of time in order to get it, right?
Mhm.
Correct.
I
Yeah.
think I vaguely remember Natalie saying something like no, or
Yeah, because that
or
did
1 year.
come up
Whatever,
in our
see,
conversation.
that's one
So
thing of our policy that's. Just to be clear, I was one of them that I think met with you and Natalie. And Matt didn't make it that day, so it was just myself and Annalise was there.
all right, can you hear him okay?
Mhm.
Tara?
So.
Yes.
We're not gonna do an employer contribution.
Okay.
We do have a 5 and 7% that is given to the employees
Okay.
towards retirement, but that's their money.
Okay.
They invest it or use it, it's up to them.
Okay.
So we're not gonna throw anything extra in from that. We can't.
Mhm. It looks like as far as the proposed policy, it would be either that contribution, we could choose between 3 options. We would say we want that contribution that we already get to go directly into a deferred compensation account. Or it could be made directly to eligible retirement account of our choosing, or it could still be going to us via check. So like 3 options. So it could go directly to this account if we wanted to, but it would be what we already get, like you said, the 5 or 7% gross annual income.
Right, but you're not getting
Not extra, no,
like
nothing
extra,
different.
like,
Basically,
district's not gonna kick in another.
no, it basically is like what you already contribute to us basically monthly is what would be going. And then,
So it seems like the
Okay.
prime concern that we had, and this isn't necessarily a you thing, is us being in agreement on everybody hired after the 14th is required to just utilize the 457B. They're not gonna get the option
Why?
to take a check. Why do we want to continue to have things be complex when they don't need to be?
We
The
do
whole
the same
goal is to have
thing
a
with,
retirement plan.
we do the same thing with healthcare. Exactly the same thing.
Yes, we do, but generally speaking, when a policy is changed,
So why are
There's
we
that
changing the
cutoff.
policy? What brought the change?
so that staff have it's more of a fringe benefit that's more in line with entities that don't struggle the way conservation districts do, so they have access to a managed retirement plan. Now they can invest on their own in a Roth or however they want,
Mhm.
but now they have the opportunity to utilize a managed retirement plan. And Tara, maybe that's where you could speak to this for Tim and for my benefit a little bit also, is that currently when we provide that stipend to staff, it is literally just a check that we pay out and they choose what they want to do with it. And let's assume they all put it in a retirement vehicle of their own choosing that they manage on their terms. So if you were to compare and contrast giving staff the opportunity to utilize the 457B versus invest on their own, how would you compare those for us?
Yeah, so I think and that was probably my confusion, because one of it says that money will go directly to the 457. So the only way that it essentially would come directly to the 457 from the employer is if it was an employer contribution. So otherwise, you're giving the employees this 5% extra money, which is essentially a paycheck. So at that point, the money's in the employee's account and they can tax defer it as an employee contribution on their own to the 457. At that point, it would be invested with MERS, and then when they take it out, the year they use it is when they're taxed. So that would be the employee saying, okay, I have this extra money in my paycheck. I want to put it into a 457 voluntarily, versus the employer sending the money to MERS on behalf of those employees and it actually being an employer contribution. And so that's what I was trying to kind of differentiate as well, as if the employer was gonna, be providing this employer contribution for all those employees versus letting the employee voluntarily contribute on their own. And so at that point, it really just becomes, are we trying to get the employees to save money into a savings account for the benefit of themselves, to have money in a retirement account? We know statistically an employee should be saving around 10 to 15% in a savings account for them to use in retirement later. And we know of people polled, about 50% of them say they're not prepared to retire because they haven't saved. So that's really kind of, I think, the question I was trying to understand is the employer going to direct that money into a retirement account for the employees? Or are you giving them money through a paycheck and just allowing them to individually, voluntarily determine where they want those funds to go?
See, right now, they have taxes taken out. So like you said, it's another paycheck, pretty much.
Okay. Okay.
So one of my concerns was a big part of me wants everybody to be the same and be able to choose what they do with that money. But what happens with this, this plan, I'm gonna say 10 years down the road or 5 years down the road, somebody has a hardship case or wants to buy a house, it's the only way they can get a down payment. And they're young enough to try to recoup later.
Yep. So if the money goes into the 457 where you're allowing them to voluntarily contribute, the employer can choose if you want to allow loans. An employee could take a loan out against themselves and use that to, say, purchase a home or whatever, and then they would have to pay that back. But there's also different hardships within each plan, depending on if they need to do like some type of emergency withdrawal. And then they just have to say what that emergency withdrawal is for. And then that money can be taken out. It would be taxed and there would be a penalty for taking that money out. So depending on kind of which plan you're looking at, defined contribution for the employer to put money in or the 457. They both have the option for you guys to allow a loan provision for the employee to take money against themselves. And then there's both different like hardship withdrawal and emergency withdrawals rules under each one.
Mind if I ask a question? Or do you?
Ask all you want.
Okay, I just had a quick
That's why
question.
You're here.
Yeah, as I think I know the answer, but I don't know. The contribution amount, so if say the employer is depositing that 5% of gross annual income into the 457 plan right away, does that get taxed when it goes in, or is it not taxed because it's going directly from the employer into the tax or into the MERS plan, the 457?
Right, it's not taxed.
Okay,
It's tax deferred, right?
It's tax deferred, so it's gonna be taxed the year that they take it out and use it, which would have to be post-employment.
gotcha. And
And
then
I'm,
like.
I'm
if we
sorry,
go-
just like totally. Just make sure I'm not being completely dumb about this, but it's, we will save on the district side, because we're not paying our side of the FICA, right?
You
On
would
that?
say. you
Are we
would
still
say-
paying FICA and FUTA and SUTA and all that on that, or?
You would, hold on, let me say, you would save on the FICA side if the employer money went into the defined contribution because it's a qualified retirement plan.
Okay, so
Um,
that's the benefit of the option one to us, is that we save on that side, but we're still paying FUTA and SUTA regular, right? We're just saving on the Medicare Social Security side of things, which is nice. That's 7.5%.
Yep.
So that is beneficial.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah,
seven
for us.
percent and 5%.
Yes.
Yep, and that's typically why if the employer says, hey, we're gonna give, X percentage to the employees across the board and not give them the choice is why the employer money goes into the defined contribution because of the tax benefit for the employer. And that's the plan that you can put a vesting on it if you wanted. That's the plan. The employees use it post-employment at 59.5 because it's a qualified retirement plan. So it's for them to use later in retirement.
But that's different than the deferred compensation, right? The defined
Correct.
versus. Mhm. And we have listed that we would use the deferred one.
Correct, but the way I think you've explained it also is that that is for the employees to choose. So that's for them to voluntarily say, I want to take part of my paycheck, maybe 2% or 10%, as much as they choose to defer that money into a savings account. And then they would use that once they've left employment at any age, and then they're taxed in the year that they use it. So we're really differentiating with, is it going to be the employer funding a retirement account? Or is it the employer giving money into these participants' paychecks and then the employee chooses?
We're putting it into their paychecks.
But the only way we can enjoy the pre-tax benefit is if the employer contributes it. That's the differential, right? We, as an employer, have to contribute it for us to benefit on that pre-tax contribution, right?
Just looking at the proposed policy that's listed, it does say that as far as the 3 options that staff would have, if we chose option 1, the contribution amount is deposited directly into the 457. That option 1 is a pre-tax retirement vehicle. Options 2 and 3 would be the same as what we kind of do. It would be subject to regular payroll taxes. So we could choose to do the 457, but then the employer would put it straight into the account on our
Did
behalf.
we make this up?
So if you
Yes.
chose,
So we don't know if it's actually correct though.
That's what was made prior to me, so I'm just
Yeah,
saying that's the
That was
proposed.
with,
I think
Yeah.
Tara had some suggestions on it too.
yeah,
Yeah, and I don't want to say it's not correct, but the money, if it's going to be money from the employee, it's not gonna go, I think the first one confuses me a little bit. The amount will be deposited directly into the 457, but that of course is still the employee's choice. So it's not money coming from the employer directly to MERS on that behalf. The employer is going to give the employee the money, and then the employee can choose to have it go into the 457. It will be directed through payroll. You guys will send it on their behalf to us. But I think like the nice woman mentioned that the employer's not getting that tax benefit. The only way that the employer is gonna get that tax benefit is if the employer says we're gonna give X amount of dollars to the defined contribution to get that tax benefit for all employees. So this policy is really saying, you know, we're gonna give employees X amount of dollars and they can choose to put it in a 457, they can choose to just keep it, you know, as their take-home pay, or they can choose to put it with an Edward Jones down the road.
So the way that item 1 is written, then that kind of nullifies the pre-tax piece of it, because unless that's an employer contribution, the pre-tax does not align with how option 1 is worded. That's what you're
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah, yes, I feel like it's a little misleading.
Yes, okay, got you.
Thank you. What's your name?
Becky.
Becky, thank you, Becky. Yeah, you've explained it, I feel like clearer than I have. I just am trying to like maybe read too deep into the policy also.
No,
But
that's
I
totally
want people
fine.
to understand that this is money in their paycheck, but yes, if you have our 457 plan, they can voluntarily choose to send it to MERS. At that point, since it's in the employee's paycheck, the employer has not gotten that tax benefit.
And in that scenario, when it's post-tax and the employee directs it to the 457, that's where it's an any age withdrawal type of thing that you were saying, no vesting, any age. And the pre-tax contribution from the employer side is the 59.5 limitation, and there could be a vesting requirement, which I don't think that we would want to do.
Okay.
I don't, unless we want to hamstring some people, but
The,
okay.
the 457 is still tax deferred for the employee, so there is a tax benefit for the employee because it's going in pre-tax and they're taxed later. It's really just not a benefit for the employer for directing that money directly into the person's paycheck.
Okay.
Versus if you said we're going to put the money directly into a retirement account on their behalf.
Okay.
So just to clarify, if the employee said, I want to have the if an employee said that they wanted to have the 457, could they not just tell, like, say we sign our work agreement or whichever and say, we want the 457, can that be from the employer contribution? And so then it wouldn't even go through our paycheck. Could the employer just put that in directly for us if we said we wanted that option, and then it wouldn't go through our paycheck? Does that
We
make
can do
sense?
that, yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna still go through payroll. So let's say the employer
I
gives
guess that's not.
yeah, the employer gives everybody 5% as like, you know,
Mhm.
annual raise kind of thing. So it's in your paycheck monthly or however. And so the individual will say, I want to put that 5% into the MERS 457 since we have this plan set up. It's tax deferred. The next person could say, I want to do 10% into the MERS 457 because it's tax deferred. And the next person could say, I don't want to do anything. I want this 5% in my paycheck to go pay my bills.
Okay. I
So
think I
once
understand.
it's in the paycheck and that individual decides they want the money to go into a 457, it's payroll deducted and sent to MERS for that individual to get the tax benefit. And
Gotcha.
then invested at MERS.
Okay, and there's no minimum number of employees that need to participate to start a program. I don't know if we covered that. I apologize if we did. It can be one person wants to participate, like if everyone said that, I don't want to do that, that stinks, and one person chose to, we could still have a plan if we wanted to.
Correct. Yep. We could just set up the 457 for all employees. And then that category of employees choose on an individual level if they want to participate. And they can increase and decrease that amount as they need to.
Okay. I think that gives me enough information to revisit how we want to approach this and revisit the policy. Do you guys have more questions on it? Whether I remember it in, a day or two when I revisit it.
No, I think I understand.
Mhm.
Well, good, then we can all like put our heads together and make sure, like, yeah. I just wasn't prepared. Tracy, did you have any questions?
No,
So oh, go ahead. I
No,
really
I
just want to, oh, go ahead, Tracy. Sorry, you guys talk.
I'm sorry, go ahead. Tracy and I were having a sidebar conversation that I wanted to hear, but you go ahead and make your comment.
Oh, I just wanted to say, I feel like based on your policy, there really isn't a difference between people hired before January 14th and people hired after, because if the employer is still going to give them this 5 or 7%, it's in the employee's paycheck, and then they can choose whether they're a newer hire or not, for them to defer the money into a 457.
So it doesn't matter.
Unless we want to take
Unless
advantage.
we
of
want,
employer
Unless the
contribution.
employer wants to put it directly into a qualified retirement account and say, you know, all full-time employees are gonna get 5% because the employer gets that FICA benefit. You're safeguarding the employees to helping them save for retirement and get to that goal of, you know, helping them save money, truly in a qualified retirement account.
Okay,
but honestly, the way. If we make everybody do it, the only one we benefit on. Is the administrator and our accountant, the bookkeeper. Because that money is the district's, the other money is grant money. Give it back to them as a raise. I mean, it's not our money.
consider. Tracy, what were you going to do?
Oh, I'm just. I like retirement plans, so this is the first job that I haven't had to contribute to one, so.
Yeah, I agree, that's an option. Yeah, that's a good point. Okay. Anything else for Tara at this time?
No.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you very
Yeah.
much for joining us and
No problem.
wrapped back up. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Let me know if I can help you guys, maybe kind of just simplify the policy and, you know, at least set the 457 up for the employees to voluntarily take advantage of.
Cool. Thank you.
Yep,
Thanks.
you're welcome. Thank you. Nice to meet you guys. Have a good night.
You too.
No, I do.
Oh, okay.
I know when the money gets in my hands.
Okay, I was just making sure you guys didn't have more questions before I signed off.
Oh, no.
Oh, we're good,
Sorry,
thanks.
yeah.
Okay,
Run,
no
run while
problem.
you can.
Okay, yeah, okay, thanks.
Thank you. Okay, yeah, that was a good call to move her up on the agenda. Thank you for doing that. Let's put guests at the top if we can.
Yeah. Didn't think about that one.
Okay, so the next item on the agenda, and this is for a vote, is the transition plan budget. Is in our packets.
Would be after the HR section.
This one,
Back a little bit more. Yeah, that one, the shorter one at the front of this one, forward more.
This one?
Yep, that's it. Forward more.
Oh, is that one at the back?
More here, more in front of the work agreements.
Oh,
There you go,
right
right
there,
there.
right there. Big
oh,
ol'-
I thought there was this other budget thing way back.
That's, we do that more budget stuff later. That's in the finance committee
More
section.
budgets.
That's like the appropriations budget stuff.
No, there was another one that wasn't the pros. Anyway, go ahead, carry on.
Okay. I mean, I guess, do any of you have,
This one is what I was looking at. What is this?
that's for our quarter one spending review.
Oh,
I think I understand it. My only question is, what's the 3 months? That's the interim thing until we hire a director?
Yep.
So what if we hire a director in 2 weeks? Does that go away or how does that work?
You'll see in the work agreements, it's listed in like the committee in under the stipend section that it's for like starting at this date for up to this much per week. For up to 3 months, but the board has the option of extending or shortening if need be.
Got it. That's all I need.
Mhm.
This-
And then the only,
We went through this whole thing for our and the finance committee.
we need to
Every Direction we could go.
You got it solved?
No, it's all good. I mean,
Yeah, it's safe. So it's solved. We got to vote, yes or no?
you ready to vote? One more discussion?
you know all about this thing.
Probably make a motion.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, we need a motion first, so can I get a motion?
I
to
move that
approve the
we
transition plan budget?
accept it as written.
Okay. Can I get support?
Support.
Excellent.
You guys switched it up this time.
It's fun when there's three of us. Okay, all in favor of passing the transition plan budget as presented, signify by saying aye.
Bye.
Aye.
Tough one.
Okay. Work agreements were all included in your packets for review. The applicable ones do include the transition plan language.
The only thing I got to say is being on the HR committee, we jumped Annalise's hours up and it's gonna run. To what, October? Is that
yeah, I
what's
think the
happening?
end of the fiscal year.
So. The money that's in here for her. To do this increase was from lost wages from Natalie. We gotta find out where they're gonna come from for next year.
Well, that will bring the new administrator in at the same rate as Natalie left at, or what, I don't know.
We don't know what we're doing, so I have to see.
So you're saying you are concerned about increased hours
I-
for Annalise through the end of. the
I
year?
am not. I think she deserves it. There's things to do, there's.
Well, what if the new executive director wants to do some of what she's doing now?
We'll have to see.
I think she's gonna need to be trained up either
I
way.
say there's a lot of unknowns in that.
If we can, you know. I'm all for hiring somebody more on the financial side, conservation side, these guys are a good manager. Can help teach them.
Mhm. I think as far as Annalise's extra hours too, I think that was also specifically to help get the QuickBooks more organized
Yeah,
again,
the
because they need a little bit
QuickBooks.
extra
Mhm.
time.
Need
So I don't
a
know if that
lot
was
of
like
time.
necessarily like a
Right,
forever thing, but yeah.
Feels like it's gonna be.
because
Yeah.
we can't find anyone to fix the books. So she's gonna have to spend time doing it.
She can do that?
Yeah,
And then we
she's
can hire her
been
out
doing
to
a
fix
lot.
everybody else's books, and then it's a revenue stream.
There you go.
There we go. Thinking,
Then we'll be
Arm
looking
of
for
the
another
deeper.
bookkeeper.
how are you guys
Gotta
feeling
make
about this?
lemonades out of those lemons.
Are we gonna do a separate motion for each of these, or are we gonna do it
I
all?
think
in
we
one?
take them as a group.
Yeah.
That'd be mine.
Are you including, so we've got are you for the work agreements?
Mhm.
So Annalise, I mean, you guys it's, you just get extra money.
Yeah.
And it's a stipend, so it's not, Annalise got. Some paid vacation in there, right?
Just a little bit, yeah. I think it's all the stuff that was added for. Is all
The only thing
highlighted.
is, I look at the vacation time is, she's gonna be working anyways. It's not gonna be any money that we're losing, so. I mean, the only thing she would actually goes to $500. And want to keep her from that,
I'm sorry, what,
the $500.
Mhm.
So I don't want to keep her from that.
right, well, she participates on the committees too.
Yeah.
And then we've got Andrew's work agreement and then Tracy's updated work agreement, but really
Okay.
it's just. I don't know if you wanted to combine those two.
Well,
The
What do we
question
do
is, are we
about?
actually gonna hire Andrew?
Does he actually want to stay after
He's
this?
here now.
I gotta look at this, I didn't see it. Right here.
I think his is either the first or second one, maybe?
You having second thoughts? Okay.
So,
Question that. it's right there.
He's. The second one, it looks like it's on the back of the page, so.
so what are we doing about? What are we doing about Tracy who doesn't have a contract? And we're signing a contract before we have a signed.
Well, we're
contract.
signing a work agreement. We have been told by the grantor that it is backdated to January 1st. So anything that we put towards it right now would be eligible to be reimbursed through it. We also got we contacted her today just to see where things were at. As far as from what I've talked to with Natalie and also from what Chessa, her name is, shared. Basically, it's only being held up mostly because it's, they're switching to like a different software, something or whatever, and so it's changing, instead of it sending like a PDF to sign, they're sending it to everything through DocuSign. So they've been doing some updated, like I forget what it was, compliance reviews or something, everything, they haven't received any notification about like any federal free stuff happening, affecting it at all. So NACD historically takes a longer time. I think this happened almost every single year. We've had NACD, so.
Well, the work agreement describes the arrangement for her work, so we have a personnel policy that oversees that, so it's got contingency language. I think of some
And
sort.
to be
I don't
fair
know off the
too-
top of my head, but
Yeah.
I'm sure that it does.
And I was gonna
Yeah.
mention too, like the backdating of project contracts is pretty common. That happens every time with our 319s. We just got our 319 for the Sand Crockery Phase 2 signed like last month. And it was backdated to October of last year,
So
so
it's like a
it's,
4 or 5 month backdate.
yeah.
So it's pretty common for that to happen. So we have at this point no worry or no reason to worry that we wouldn't get that contract.
So I gotta roll one back. You just said you just got a contract from October,
Yeah.
so we were paying district money the whole time?
No, technically for this, this is a weird situation because technically we still have phase one sand crockery money and we were spending out of that. So we didn't actually spend, in the first quarterly reporting period of phase two of that grant, we didn't actually spend any money because we were spending it all out of phase one. But I did actually have to submit an entire quarterly report, even though we didn't have a signed contract from Eagle yet on that project. And all they did was backdate it. The project started on October first, even though we technically didn't have a contract until what, like 3 weeks ago or something?
Would we have still gotten reimbursed if, so they still would have reimbursed us even though we don't have it technically a signed contract.
Doug, this sounds like we're spending money we don't have to do things we don't know.
That's why I said, hey, wait a minute.
This
I'm
is,
not used to doing business like that.
no, me either.
Yeah. So goes the grant
So-
world
so how- Is there a way to change that?
to change.
This backdating program stuff? How do
No,
we get current?
unfortunately, that's kind of how the nonprofit grant world works, I think. So there's kind of no way to avoid that.
We are current now, right?
Yeah, we are current, like we
current.
have the grant, we've been awarded it. I mean, it's been awarded to us, we just don't have the official
Andrew,
signed.
Have
Contract.
You don't have the
looked at
money in your checkbook either.
this? Have you
Well,
seen
yeah,
this? 'Cause I don't
I
see
think
your
that gets reimbursed
signature.
too.
My signature on there?
No, I haven't. I don't see your signature. Have you seen this work agreement?
Yes, I have.
And you're in agreement with it?
Yep,
Yeah, I think he would officially sign in on his first day.
Yeah,
Yep.
on the 24th, he'll come and do onboarding, all
Yep.
that stuff.
that was
Because I
sent to
know
me.
some of his healthcare got taken away, right? Cause some of it got used.
Yeah, cause it's the MEP one is based off of a fiscal year, and so
Right.
Karen had used some of it already.
Right,
So there's only so much left based
cause
off
we
fiscal
talked
year.
about that in the finance part.
Yeah.
So you two are comfortable with the explanation?
If it helps at all, I will say too, because with her, really the only difference with Tracy's work agreement is that it's updating where her funding is coming from. And with the grant, we're technically on the hook for less because part of her funding is now coming out of that groundwater funding too. So we are technically on the hook for a little less from that NACD.
Mhm.
Because some of it is also
Yeah,
coming from
you guys
groundwater,
didn't
which we
spell
already
it out.
have. I guess it's not spelled out
amounts.
specifically how much hours per week, but I think it's kind of like we know how much, she knows how much she has,
You're talking about the division between the groundwater fund and the
NACD.
NACD fund is what you wanted to see in.
Well, the groundwater says, yeah, we talked about that, but you
It's
can't
pretty
put that
crazy
in,
the work
inter,
agreement,
inter.
Because there's people that work on multiple different projects, so if we embarked on that, really.
That'd be.
Well,
that'd be
it's just the
easier.
groundwater thing, but you don't know what's gonna be wages and you don't know what's gonna be actual.
We have like
things.
we have like an internal budget for the
you
most part,
have
and so
to.
we have a
Right.
overall general understanding of, what is saved for her wage.
No, we move on.
We get a motion to execute all the work agreements and take them as a group.
I'll make a motion to accept the work agreements as written as a group.
Just support for that motion, now that we've already, discussed it.
I guess I'll support that.
Thank you.
You got a job, Andrew.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Right.
thank you. Okay. Human resources, done. Now we're on to finance. Finance committee meeting report.
I don't know what I can say. It's everything we just talked about.
Pretty much covered.
Sarah was there. It was
most of the
all the
items.
work agreements and, coming up with a transition plan.
Mhm.
I mean, they already had it. We just had to shuffle it around a little bit. And went through all the numbers more than once and get Annalise set up.
Thank you for doing that. I know it's a lot of work. Appreciate you sorting that out.
Yeah, that was about it. I got all our notes. I ain't got nothing more to say on that. I mean, so we did, right? You were there.
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, I didn't mention annual meeting budget. know what we did with that.
Well, we're giving an update later.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah, we're not increasing the budget at all.
yeah.
We're just
Oh, we
gonna,
did talk about that. You were $500 short.
we're just gonna charge $10 a
Okay,
person who
yeah, we
attends.
did talk about that.
But I can give you more of an update on that'll be coming up a little later.
Okay.
Okay,
All right, so we're on to paying the bills, January bank recs and bill payments. Can we get a motion to approve the bank recs and pay the bills?
that should be.
You're okay with it?
Yeah.
Okay, I move that we pay the bills.
Support.
All right. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Done deal.
Cash flow forecast, my favorite part of every meeting,
Who doesn't love? a
the
good
magic
cash flow forecast?
spreadsheet.
It's around to here now, guys.
How far deep is that into this financial?
Go to
Right
the
here.
next blue. Yep, you're there. Go
Oh.
past all that.
This one?
Keep going, about 3 more
Thing.
pages.
Yeah.
Right here.
Right there, that tab. There you go. Questions?
No. Where's the legend? Yellow is submitted and we don't have it yet, and green is,
Green, I believe, is received, and I think yellow is when we think we should be getting it by, I believe.
what's the date?
Today is the 11th. Think I saw that the ODC subaward check came in already.
The $100 and something dollars.
RCPP, yeah, green, that came in officially.
Green.
Hmm?
I see a green on February 17, I guess if I asked that.
Yeah, that is HWA 17, so, oh, yeah, maybe,
What's the uncolored ones?
the what?
On the uncolored ones, February 17 and 24.
Not submitted yet?
Potentially not submitted yet, let's see. Muriel? Oh,
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. NISGP Core 23, do you know if that one's been submitted yet?
Has it been submitted? No, Annalise just got me the reconciliation.
Okay, then yeah, I believe the uncolored ones are when we expect to submit, or maybe whichever, so that one's not been submitted yet.
Okay.
Thank you.
I hope one day to be able to ask better questions about this document and not just about the color coding.
No, it's okay. Well, and it's just,
I have goals.
I thought these were due dates.
yeah, like, I think they were supposed to be when they're supposed to be coming in, cause like the NAC 23, which is uncolored, that one has been submitted. So maybe these are like when we kind of expected, but we don't, like at the time that this was created, it wasn't submitted yet.
Yeah, that's right. We
It's
have
the
little breaks for
forecast for
transition and stuff.
receiving the money.
Mm-hmm.
I won't sweat that one too much.
Mhm.
Okay, anything further on the forecast?
Ask me that after I get, ask me that on Friday. Cause they haven't asked me to transfer all the money
A
out.
lot of money's going out.
That
Well,
was the
to be fair,
largest amount of checks in all my years.
all of the
outside.
cost share checks is coming out of this fund right here that we've already gotten, the crockery and the pigeon, so all that money's already in
Couple
the
$100
bank.
grand gone.
Mhm.
And I
Good
just
deal.
updated you guys, but I don't know when you updated this.
So is that why the balance goes in from February 3 to February 10, the big difference? 393 to 117?
Likely,
Yeah, the 285,000 on all.
oh, yeah, cause that
Cost share
down
check.
there, all bills, so that's probably including all the cost share checks, so that's why there's that big jump down.
I'll be glad when QuickBooks works properly enough. Okay, moving on. First quarter spending discussion. Is that when I get to flip to that
Yes.
one at the back now?
It's, this one here, it's the appropriation, it should be the next
no.
tab in your, yep, you're already on it, it should be the next one for you. Yeah, so this is just reviewing, what we've spent so far based on what was our appropriation, so version 1. Is what we appropriated at the beginning of the year originally, so that's like the second line. And then Q1 revenue / Q1 spending is where we are currently at with like what our revenue was in quarter 1 and then what our spending was in quarter 1. So at least down here, as far as the spending on the bottom, you can kind of see how much we've spent, you know, like operations, for example, our appropriation budget was 225,000. We've spent just over 51,000 of that in the first quarter.
So you are not asking for an amendment.
Not in
This
this
is just a budget,
section.
the actual.
Yes, but there is gonna be appropriation, amend, we do have to make an appropriation update. So the red, there's just two things. It's because NACD 24, that's the newly awarded grant, so that's gonna be added. Which is the contract that we're waiting on getting signed. So that's an added income that we're receiving.
Yep.
And then the Crockery Sand 319 grant, that, we were talking about it earlier, it seems like in the original version 1, we did not appropriate the full amount, that was left. I think at the time that we were making this appropriations budget, we thought we were gonna use more of it in the last year. But I think we ended up not using quite as much as we thought, so we ended up having more left over, and so according to the version 1 appropriations budget of what we had, like 106, 224 was what we appropriated. But in the quarter 1 expending, we spent 116 already. So then we spent more than what we appropriated. So we double checked that. We were like, why is that? And we realized we had more left in the grant than we had thought. So we were just upping what was this 150,000 is what we have left in that grant for this year, and this year is the last year of that grant. So basically, we're just updating that to make it reflect that the total amount of grant left. So those are the two things that are gonna be updated for the updated appropriations budget.
Where's the resolution?
It should be next, and I think you've got the signed copy, the copy that you should sign is in your folder.
So a copy of the resolution is in here.
Is in your, yeah, it's in your folder to sign, that blue one. So that's the only change. The, this next, one here that's after with the yellow, this is, more specific, the district operations fund itself. This had some slight changes, and I think, we had two things in here. So the fiscal year 25 is what we originally figured what was gonna be spent per this year, I guess, for the district operations. We have our expenditures of what we've actually spent and then what we have left. This fiscal year 25 transition plan is what our new budget looks like now that you have approved the transition plan. So this is just with the updated numbers, with like not having Nat and Natalie in there anymore, having more money in there for the bookkeeper and the stipends and things like that. So this now, with the fiscal year 25 transition plan, that's your updated budget for this year for the district operations. And then what we spent is right here. And then what we have left is here.
This is just for the remainder of the year.
This, I think this is including the entire year, because you see the executive
Right.
director is, yeah, so
Not
this is,
down from what it was.
yeah, because originally we had, this, 63,000 for fiscal year for executive, but now there's less in there because some of it's moving other places. But we don't have to change anything for the operation budget in the appropriations budget, because it's just within our line item, because our total district operations isn't changing, we're just changing internally.
So we went out of the executive director and the other ones.
Yeah, so yeah, basically some of the executive director stuff is going into these other sections where. And we are also.
And that'll
stating,
change
you know,
again if we get a new executive director?
depending on what we decide to pay them, it could change slightly. This is based off of if we end up paying them the same exact, I think, what Natalie was making.
Okay.
Which is about middle of the range.
So why do we have to vote on that? I guess,
This, we don't have to vote on necessarily, it's the appropriations, this one, like I said, the two red ones, the Crockery Sand, this one, and then the NACD, these are two updated things that we just have to approve, that we're updating our appropriations budget.
Okay.
Because one's a new funding source and one is an update to a funding source, that's more than we expected.
Get the whole budget.
And then again, the Q1 spending is just to give you guys an update as to how much we spent so far in the first quarter,
Mhm.
because we're trying to keep track a little better.
Can we change something else too, or not?
What would you like to change?
Under the executive director,
Mhm.
I've asked for this before.
Oh,
We had to
let's,
wait for a change where one person can tell the executive director they can do what they want.
First of all, let's get a motion before we discuss. Second of all, I would like to hold on modifications to the Appropriations Act, because I want to make some changes that make it more consistent.
Okay.
In terms of, naming some language in the
Mhm.
act, some things like that, because it's not abundantly clear. what is an amendment when it changed, when this resolution changes, so I wanna get that language better, so maybe we do that. We can, make this adjustment now, but then maybe next meeting, or when we have an executive director in place. Go back through some of the language and some of the naming, cause I wanna know, amendment 1, amendment 2, as we go through the year, so we know where it sits, and I don't wanna see proposed if it's what we've passed. I wanna see, the approved budget,
You don't
the
want it
approved
to be
appropriations
next
budget and then
month.
amended. So what's that?
Next month is what,
Well,
annual meetings.
yeah,
You
and
don't
I
wanna do
corrected
nothing.
saying maybe when we get a executive director in place or talk to Annalise or something, I think kind of improve some of that language, so it's easier to track.
Mhm.
So I would propose to make some changes, including what you suggested at a later time. So we are not to a motion yet on this, are we, on our little
Right, I think you were
agenda
technically
business?
still,
We jumped
um,
up a little bit. So we are still discussing first quarter spending. Is there any additional questions on the spreadsheet that is not the appropriations, the one with the highlights, that's kind of all bucketed so we understand it better?
Yeah.
We're all good
basically
there?
any questions on what we've spent so far?
Already did that.
Okay. So no more questions, then we will now move on to the appropriations budget, which we've already touched on and discussed, so I think I'd probably just look for a motion to approve the amended appropriations budget that was presented.
You told me you were just gonna wait with that.
We're approving the numbers in it,
Okay,
but the language
numbers.
changes, we'll
Okay, I got
address
it.
that the next time it comes before us, so we can get those all cleaned up.
I'll make a note so we can.
I can
add it
move
to-
that we vote on that. Go forward with the changes.
Thank you.
Wonder who's gonna support it.
Yeah,
So
Ben's
all
like,
in
"Have
favor?
pins and needles." Okay.
Have to take
All
bets
right,
over.
all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Alright,
Aye.
gotcha on that one. You just
Wait, did
said
you wanna
that.
do verbal changes to what, the April one, or just wait until we have the executive director?
We can
in place?
wait.
Let us know when
I
we
just
got
brought
to
that up
amend,
before.
and then
Yeah.
we'll change it again.
Yeah, I think it's
Okay.
one of those things that, yeah, it's just like the same language, so yeah. maybe
Yeah, because the way that
Well, I
it
think the
it
other,
reads it, the motion's been approved and adopted as though it's the original Appropriations Act. So I want to be able to see approved Amendment 1 and have that listed in here, so we know what the most current one
That's
is.
fair.
I think that's gonna be the cleanest.
Mhm.
Backside, on to operations. Focus area 3, discussion, on the way back.
So we're, yep, in front of that next, so this guy here. Basically just touching base, so we're gonna look at this next chart that was highlighted, so next page after that, right there. So you got 2 pages to go, Tim. Just again, I think this is just to review where we're currently at with our 5-year plan, so focus area 3. The items that are highlighted in yellow are things that we're currently working on. So participating in professional development, maintaining access to resource management experts with Ottawa County, and then monitor Ottawa County regional plans, reports. So that's ongoing, and those are things that we're currently doing. As far as the repeat needs assessment for like the conservation needs assessment, that's something that we don't necessarily have to worry about at this moment. I think it's due by December 26th, and so Natalie had said that we should probably really start thinking about it this fall. And the county has said, the Department of Strategic Impact said that they would help us with that, and that's like a report that needs to be done every 5 years, and so that's coming up in 26 to be done. So that's kind of just where we're at currently with that, with our benchmarks and everything.
So what do you rate yourself, an A+ or a C-?
I mean, it's one of those things, it's fairly broad, and I think we left these things fairly broad, these are items, the yellow items are things that we're constantly doing all the time. And then the repeat needs assessment hasn't been done yet, because it doesn't need to be, so I'd say A++.
Yeah, I'd give everybody pretty big ups on all of these, yeah,
Perfect.
So,
all right, very good. Anything else on the focus area 3 of our 5-year plan? All good? Okay. Moving on to annual meeting, woohoo!
woohoo. I did share a flyer with you, and there's some extra flyers over there if you would like to share with your friends and neighbors. So March 11th at the District 5 Schoolhouse. We did decide to get a catered dinner through Lake House Lake Effect Kitchen. And so, as far as the budget, so we already had the $1,000 from the annual, from the district that was part of the budget. And then we got that $500 sponsorship from Fishbeck. And then in order to have a sit-down dinner, it was gonna be a bit more extra money, so we have decided that we are gonna charge a $10 fee for registration to attend, which is cheaper than what we've done in the past. I think 2 years ago, 2023, we had like a $20 pay to play kind of thing with a dinner with Lake Effect, and dinner was really great. And we had a full house then, so we're hoping we can fill her up. We would only need to have at least 60 people signed pay in order to cover what we need extra. And we're still seeking out other sponsorships just in case, so. But we're looking for about a 75 person, probably room, including staff and everything. We're planning on kind of having a bit of an hour long kind of networking time where people can come talk about tables. All the staff will be able to talk to folks and stuff. We'll have donuts from Farmhouse Cider Co. So same donuts we had at the Cultivate Resilience, which were really delicious.
Is that farmhouse off of Kenowa?
Yeah, maybe I need to change that. I accidentally sent Ben to the wrong place to pick up the donuts, because I did not realize they were two different places.
Just
So
wanna
if
make
you went
sure.
to like Station
Where's
Street
the
or
other one?
whatever?
I've seen the sign, but where's, yeah, it is.
It's owned by
yeah.
the same company, it's just their bakery is located.
Yeah, did he
somewhere
buy,
else.
what did he buy, an old Vandermill facility or something, or what?
There was the Mulkers, wasn't it Mulker Orchards?
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Oh, it's over down there.
Kennewa
I
and,
drive by there
but
every
he
day
did
going
great,
to
he
work.
got there
Yeah.
just in time.
Kennewa and Burton or somewhere right in there.
I've been milking it.
Yeah,
Good work, well done, I do
Um,
the same.
and Aldea will be donating coffee again this year for that. And then also,
About cocktails.
no cocktails, but we do have, we're gonna do some little giveaways, little kind of door prizes, I can't think of words today. So we're gonna do a little
Party
giveaway.
favors?
Yeah, we're gonna do a giveaway with, we have a spare cutting board with like the Ottawa Conservation District graving, as well as a Conservation Starts Here t-shirt that we had. We also have two gift boxes donated, one from Tanglewood Winery and one from Grand Armory Brewing,
Awesome.
our Conservation on Tap partners. So both of them
Oh,
have
that's
agreed
super
to
fun.
donate a little gift basket, so we can do some fun little giveaways. So someone might have a drink, but later on or at home.
I didn't win the dang cooler from the harvest people either. He called me, tried to sell me a solar array, and didn't give me a cooler.
I think you guys saw,
Yes.
yeah, we also chose our producer and partner of the year. Our producer of the year we chose was Craig Coleman, who did some irrigation work with us and also helped us out by getting interviewed by Wood TV8 and talking some good things about us. And then also our partner of the year is Joe Bush for his work with the Monsanto funding and always thinking of us, so. And then our kind of our presentation we plan to have, will be like a quick 2-minute, 5-minute highlight from each staff program. And then we're gonna have a more in-depth kind of conversation about the water quality monitoring situation too with Joe Bush. And then we also just asked Kelly to see if she want to give a little brief part about the Macatawa side of things for that, because that's still part of the whole funding there. So it'll be a little bit of a more in-depth of what have we accomplished, what are we planning to actually do this year. And I think Joe is gonna talk a little bit more about like how he's using that Monsanto funding with the Department of Strategic Impact as well. So kind of like a more over level of water quality monitoring stuff going on in Ottawa County. So that's the meeting. Registration's open. Tell people to come.
So that's all you need from us is to get butts and seats.
Yep.
Let
get
me see if
buses.
you're giving it 75 butts and seats. What are you basing that on?
Huh?
Just attendance from prior years?
Yeah.
Prior years,
Yeah.
we've typically, like last year, I think we had roughly 65-ish people. Not including staff, I think. So if you include staff, that's obviously 12-ish, I think, for how many. So
The room can hold more than that.
room can hold more if we end up having more.
And we've done a little bit of math and we could have more. I personally don't think we should set a hard cap at 75, but that's.
If there's interest, because in
Yeah.
2023, we had we were pretty close. We actually ended up having to turn a couple of people away, and that was like a 75 with including staff and everything too. We actually had 75, and I think I remember we were told we're not allowed to eat unless there's food left over. So that was that time, but we didn't have space. That was when we had it in Hemlock Crossing. So yeah,
That was Lester's retirement program, though, right? There's a few extra people.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm sorry, what?
That was Lester's retirement.
Yes, yeah.
thing,
So that
there
was
a few extra people there.
probably, yeah.
Yeah,
We had a few-
family
his family in there
yeah.
too. So, But yes,
You guys gonna invite commissioners?
yep, we've already sent, based off of Matt said he would send like a little letter from him, from the Ottawa CD, so we sent to the commissioners. I've also provided like an invite to all the staff, and they've are inviting their partners and people they've worked with. And then I think we'll send out kind of a mass email to our email list next week, probably, as like an invite for whoever was interested in coming, so. Doing a bunch of
Can you
marketing.
send this to us as an attachment?
I
so we
can.
Send it to people?
Absolutely, yes. I will send it to you digitally as well, and I just wanted to have physical in case you wanted to have it in your hand and look at it. Put it on your fridge, remember about it.
Awesome. Well, sounds like it's coming along really good. So I'm looking forward to it. Good
Mhm.
work. Well done.
Should be good.
All good on that?
Mhm.
Okay, now we're to the part of the agenda that always looks super long, but it really doesn't take that long.
No.
So, grants.
I think all these grants have been on here for a
Yeah.
while too.
Yeah, as far as the pending ones,
Pending.
they're still pending, we're
Yeah.
still waiting.
Yep.
We're not,
No way now.
I guess technically preparing, I mean, we have a pre-proposal that Muriel is putting together, but if we're told that she can apply for it, then that will be on the preparing next time.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then executing is still NACD,
Yeah.
still obviously working on getting the signed one final back. So nothing really new.
Like usual, none are in the not received.
Well played.
So that part's always empty. I don't know.
All right. We're just cranking through it. So now we're to board updates. Who would like to have their 2 minutes of fame first?
I don't have anything, so go ahead.
The finance meeting with cultivating resilience. Great job.
Yeah,
I
that
was
was
gonna
good
say
job.
highlights,
Great job.
yeah, thanks. Thanks to everyone who helped.
That's about it.
It's not very
Been
exciting.
quiet.
I think Rivka's got the most exciting update and she's not here to share it, but congratulations to Rivka. That's
I
awesome.
thought we were talking conservation district, not personal.
I didn't make any rules. There's no rules. I feel like I've done enough talking and I'm not even sure what else I would say other than to, yeah, agree cultivating resilience went really well. It was a good day, good event. Glad to have Andrew on board. Welcome.
Thank you.
I'm glad that we didn't scare you away just
Nope.
yet, so this is
Nope.
good.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Looking forward to looking at the resumes for
Mhm.
getting our new ED in place, and thank you all for picking up the slack and knowing exactly what to do and making this seamless. I know this is a lot for you to pick up and walk us all through, and that's really not your bailiwick, and I appreciate it. So,
Somewhat mostly know what to do. It's mostly.
well, you fake it until you make it, and you know, I appreciate that. It's a good thing.
Mhm.
So. All right, no correspondence,
No,
no PA 116 applications,
no.
and now we're to end/adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
And slash adjourn, no.
He was quick to step up to that one.
I'll support.
You didn't think I was gonna let that go.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
All
meeting
right,
adjourned.
cool. Thanks, Ibrahim.
Thank you.
Thank y'all for inviting me.
Have a good night.
Have a good one.
All right, thank y'all too.
Okay, now I actually have to like do some things, don't I?
You're gonna recycle this? You did
Do
good.
some official
Thanks for
things.
driving down.
Oh, absolutely. It was great. Great to finally meet all you guys. So
Couple weeks left, man.
I know, I'm looking forward to it.